Hello and welcome to this session on why scaling businesses come to the UK to grow their business worldwide. Why Korean companies should be interested in the UK market. I think if you only remember one statistic from this presentation, it's very much this one. It's 9 out of 10. You can imagine that coming to any market is difficult for any company, and when companies scale, they often break into a market to look for, maybe one client or maybe look for an investor or a partner. I think with the UK, what's noticeable is that the majority of companies that come in to the UK don't just come here for a short amount of time or for one client, but they end up staying. And they stay because of the ecosystem that's been developed here to enable and to encourage innovation and companies no matter where they're from. So this 9 out of 10 statistic, keep it in your mind. I'll reveal what it means at the end of the presentation, but I think it's the most compelling reason why you as a Korean tech company who are looking to go global and really scale your business should take part in the UK's ecosystem. It's geographically not at a similar size to South Korea, but the slide on the left, which is basically a map of all the different stages of startup tech companies and where they're based in the UK, both from early stage, seed stage, which are the blue, to the companies who are raising venture finance, which are the ones in for the ones in pink, to those who have exited, which are the ones in green. So they're dotted all around the UK, and unsurprisingly, they're all based around areas where there's heavy population density. It also shows you that the UK has tech clusters all around the country, whether it's London in the southeast, or whether it's the Midlands and Birmingham, or the northwest, northeast, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. There are strong tech clusters in each of those regions. Some have slightly different emphases in terms of the sectors and the type of tech companies they support, but generally those ecosystems can support any company going into them. And as we represent the whole of the UK and sitting within an organisation like Department for International Trade, we also have a view on where your company should be best placed in order to take advantage of the connections into whatever sector you're aiming at, whether it's health or whether it's maritime or whether it's you've developed an artificial intelligence software or application or services that needs to be sold into a certain sector within that UK. I think we're well placed to inform you about where you should best land within the UK to give you the best chance of success. I mean, London in itself, of course, is the massive population area in the UK where many technology companies are based. It's also where, of course, lots of other companies that you might want to attract as clients or partners are also based across other sectors. The report up the top right talks about London as the second most connected ecosystem in the world. I'm sure you can guess which is the first. But that basically means that with one founder, they have connections with more than two international founders based elsewhere around the world. So it's very much saying that London is not just, you're not just coming to the UK to conduct business and to find connections in the right places, but you'll also find connections with people from all around the world. And I think that's very important. A lot of people come to places like London, which are truly global centres, to conduct business globally. And I think all those different regions around the UK, whether it's Manchester or Birmingham or Edinburgh, use London for that purpose. So moving on. And I just wanted to show you some stats on the tech ecosystem in terms of, where a lot of your companies are at, which are those looking to raise finance to springboard their business into other different markets. Or develop their technology further. The UK is by far the number one destination for tech companies who are looking to raise finance because there is just more money there than any other place across the continent. In 2019, up to 2020, before the pandemic hit, over 10 billion was raised, which is a record. And there's a record number of companies that were valued at a high end. So it's from from a quarter of a billion to up to £1 billion, which is a notable increase on the years before. And as I mentioned, also, the amount of tech companies and the development of the tech clusters across all of those different cities, Manchester, London, Bristol, Cambridge in particular, which is very much the beating heart of deep tech in the UK, are thriving. And as a result of that, so it's a combination, really, as I'm sure of universities bringing through the talent, having the research capabilities to back up the companies, to having existing businesses and business people who have the experience to mentor companies as they grow and expand, to having access to market as well. These are all the factors that mean cities such as these have been very successful in supporting and growing tech startups. And there's some of the regions that I'm sure you would be interested in as a Korean company coming into the UK. On what those companies are and what kind of sectors they focus on. I mean, obviously London is top, mainly because of the size of it, and Cambridge, as I mentioned, is so significant because lots of the deep tech talent and with the backing of the university, of course, as well, going back decades. Cambridge has always been a destination for tech companies looking to grow and scale from all around the world. But also because there's a natural talent base there, which is unique in many senses. And then, of course, all the big population centres like Birmingham and Newcastle, and places across Wales and Scotland like Cardiff and Edinburgh, Oxford, of course, as well, because of the university strength as well. But generally, I tend to find with most of the large cities in the UK, there is a focus. All their strategic priorities, whether for the city government as well as nationally, is focused on developing sectors such as tech and software and life sciences. I don't think there's any city that doesn't have that as a priority. And you can see, in terms of the top sectors of the companies that do raise investment, obviously in London historically, as well as Manchester, and Edinburgh, have always had strong financial service industry there, which is combination with the tech industry has meant that fintech has been probably the top sector for raising finance. And in terms of how many companies have grown and employed people in the UK, e-commerce is a close second. The UK is not only a great market for e-commerce companies, but it's probably in fact definitely the largest market for e-commerce in the UK. We spend a lot of money online. Gaming is a very important sector in the UK, mainly because it's that combination of art, design and technology. And a lot of the learnings that come through and a lot of the talent that comes through gaming impacts upon all those other sectors as well, because they're the best at that intersection of creativity, design and technology, and developing interfaces that are the most compelling for consumers. To use this slide just to I suppose emphasize one thing where I think the UK has a distinct advantage. I think all around the world now, especially in the major population centres, you will be able as a technology company to raise money fairly easily at seed and even Series A level. I think where it's getting difficult, or where it has been difficult in the past and continues to be in a lot of centres around the world, is to raise that scaling finance. So when you've developed your product or service, you've tested all your features, you've got a good set of clients, you've got some revenues coming through the door, and you've set up your processes, then it's about how you scale and grow. So the emphasis more on sales and marketing and scaling. Where you find that finance is more problematic, and I think the UK has a really good ecosystem in terms of later stage. So from Series B onwards, as it says there, late stage in debt for, financial organisations and investors, not just based in the UK, but who are drawing on reserves from all around the world, including the Vision Fund, which of course is the biggest venture fund in the world, which is from Saudi Arabia and Japan, but which is HQ'd in London. The huge financial services industry in the UK, which is based there, is a massive source of finance, and I don't think that will ever change. But it does provide those companies who get visibility from being in the UK access to those people who can give them the fuel, the late stage finance to really accelerate their growth, not just in the UK, of course, but globally. Of the proof of that has been in the number of tech exits that we've seen in the last 10 years in the UK across all of these different sectors, whether it's in terms of an IPO or whether it's a trade sale. That whatever you do, very much in terms of tech, there's a place for you, and that's also played out in the number of accelerators and incubators that there are in the UK that cater for all kinds of different technology companies who have a focus in different markets and are at different stages of their development. The government has, I think, done very well in setting up organizations or enabling companies at a very early stage to access money where in areas especially that venture capitalists or angel investors, the private sector basically does not facilitate. I think it's often underestimated that the importance of investment. I think this in South Korea, because the Korean government, I think, has also done a fantastic job of pumping money into early stage companies to encourage more startups, to encourage more entrepreneurs, because venture finance does not facilitate this. It very much relies on the state to do this, whether it's in Korea, whether it's in the UK, or whether it's in the US. Huge amounts of money goes into this. To that extent, there are a number of incentives that the UK government has set up over the years to enable companies at a certain size, very much the small to mid-sized companies, to access grants, innovation grants. So this is not equity and this is not a loan. This is something you get given in order to develop a new product or service. Of course, the development of that new intellectual property is key to growing the economy and to facilitating innovation across all sectors. We have an organisation in the UK called Innovate UK, which gives out about £500 million UK pounds a year to small, mid-sized companies through innovation grants, which all companies who are set up in the UK are eligible for. So if you set your company up in the UK and you're conducting that research or planning to conduct that research and development in the UK, then you can access grants, from as small as £25,000 just to do a bit of market research, up to £2 million, and you can also match that money, of course, with either commercial revenues or through VC money as well, which also makes your company more attractive to investments. They also have business growth schemes across the UK. They don't tend to be accessible in London because in London it's seen as it's got such a great ecosystem for both providing mentors and for venture finance. The government has also put these schemes in to encourage the growth of that across all the other clusters around the UK. And as you've seen in my previous slides, this has been very successful in encouraging entrepreneurship and the growth of tech sectors outside of London as well. And then there's the British Business Bank, which is basically a government-owned bank, which invests in other funds and which encourages them to invest more in startups. The government was looking at how much investment was being given out to startups and companies at different stages of their growth, and was not happy at the rates of which finance was going into those companies, especially the ones who were very innovative. So to encourage more funds to invest in that. And then there's other tax relief. So that's on the, in terms of supporting that growth of early stage companies. There's also the point to which you have to, support the growth of innovative companies by not taxing them too heavily in the early stages of their lives, and so killing the innovation that you hope to aspire, you hope to grow in order to get the company on its feet, and then eventually they'll pay that money back, of course, in the form of normal taxation. And they've got a number of them. Of course, there are sector-specific tax reliefs, like the creative tax reliefs, which funds a lot of the development of in industries such as games, animation, TV and film. And then there are broader tax reliefs aimed at all companies to encourage them to engage in research and development. I mean, you can, for small companies, you can get 230% tax relief on just core research. For small to mid-sized companies, I've had that before with my companies. It's an incredibly effective way to ensure that you're not penalised from trying to constantly develop new intellectual property, new products and services, which is, of course, as a fuel for the growth for many companies in this sector. To patent box as well, which is another way to encourage companies to develop IP by saying that if your core product or service is covered by a certain patent and relies upon it, then all your business, if conducted through the UK, so including global revenues, will only be charged a 10% corporate tax rate, which is roughly half of what the UK tax rate is at the moment, and one of the lowest in the world. And then there are specific tax reliefs to encourage more private sector investment, again through, as I mentioned before, the likes of the British Business Bank, encouraging more investment to go back into the ecosystem, to go back into early stage companies, which is key for companies like yours who are looking to raise scaling finance. And this is done through the seed or enterprise investment reliefs, two types of reliefs. Where companies can raise, standard companies can raise up to 12 million through this, or if you're a knowledge-based companies, which I know all of you are, you can raise up to, I think it's 23 million. And how it works is fairly simple. They're basically encouraging investors, whether it's a VC trust fund or whether it's angel investors, to invest in early stage companies by giving the investor the tax relief. So, for example, if I invest £100 in your company at a seed enterprise investment scheme, then 50% of that, so £50, will be taken off my tax bill at the end of the year. So ultimately, what that means is although I'm investing £100 in you, I'm only really investing £50, but I get £100 equity in your company. So the company gets the full amount of my investment. I get tax back. Plus, if I keep my money in your company for at least 3 years, when I take it out, and hopefully you're successful, so that means that you've done a trade sale or you've bought the shares back off me, I do not pay any capital gains tax on my profit of that. So it's a huge incentive for investors to invest in early stage companies, and one of the cornerstones of why we've seen such an explosion of growth in early stage companies. Yosh is an AI company that's came into the UK from Poland. Excellent team, and they'd already built their product, had a team of 20 people, and were looking to expand and grow their business, but they couldn't do it from Poland. They just didn't have enough market there, and they didn't have enough of the right types of contacts in order to springboard into other markets as well. So Cassia, who runs that company, came to us, and I've been working with them for 2 years now, I think it is, and helping them to grow and expand their business through the UK by helping them articulate their message, helping to connect them into VCs who can help expand their growth through late stage finance, and also connect them into other markets. On Poland for now, who are using AI in a slightly different way, where they're using it to turn video to make it look like a comic book. This has been incredibly successful. Of course, they originally started selling it into post-production houses. Of course, London has, like in many sectors, the centre of Europe's post-production industry, film industry, TV industry. So there's many potential clients there. And also people who would understand the market they're looking to sell into and could help them grow, get those connections, which are key to any company scaling. And they've been, of course, you may know this company. This is Sensedo, which in the UK is Switch, and they've basically developed technology around cyber technology around payments to enable companies or retailers or payment providers or banks to have sharing transactions across their networks for their client base. They do it in a number of different ways, either by developing a virtual card number based on using blockchain technologies to underpin it, or developing a card which takes your fingerprint as a way of accessing your bank account. And they came through the program, again, a Korean company who have still have a base in South Korea. I think that's key. I think if you've spent all that time building up your team in Korea, I think with the program, it's important to note that we don't want to just lift you out of South Korea and put you in the UK. I think it's important for you to retain a base here in many instances, because the UK is for all kinds of reasons I've mentioned is just well set up for Korean companies to sell into other different markets, not just in the UK but worldwide and globally. So it's very much a springboard for your growth, and that's very much how Sensedo and Chang, who's the CEO, has used the UK in terms of connecting into other potential clients, but also in terms of other markets outside of the UK, which have natural connections with global centres like London, in order to identify customers and potential clients, and also to attract other financiers. In fact, the first financier they got interested in was actually from the US, but was based in London at the time. But it's a great place for you to raise the visibility of what you're doing in Seoul or in Busan, wherever you're based in South Korea. Now, because time is coming to a close, about why you'd set up in the UK. I've mentioned some of these before. I think, generally, the UK, we take it for granted here, but we do have very low barriers to entry for all entrepreneurs, whether you're a UK resident, whether you're coming in from France, whether you're coming in from South Korea, or you're coming in from South America. I think all of our entrepreneurs have found it so easy to come in and set up their company. You can even set up your company virtually from Korea today, if you so wish. And it doesn't cost you a lot of money at all. And the thing that takes a bit longer is just setting up a bank account. Everything else that the UK can help you with through organisations like DIT and GEP. That's the easy part in many senses. So the speed to set up is very quick. Of course, in terms of cost base, as I mentioned before, it's already got a very standard low corporation tax rate of 19%, which is being lowered. But through all kinds of mechanisms, especially if you're still developing a lot of early stage tech, there's ways in which to even decrease that tax commitment. And then, of course, the R&D tax reliefs and the R&D tax grants, the R&D innovation grants are very important for early stage companies who are developing new product and research. Because I'm sure even though you've got built product now, you'll be looking to develop new features or new technologies within your company. And the UK is a great market for doing that because, as I said before, the government's very keen to incentivise all companies that have a base in the UK to do that. And of course, the investor incentives for companies at early stage or scaling or who are scaling to access that source of money to invest back into, whether it's product development or invest into your marketing budget, is key for all companies to succeed. And then, a key also, as I mentioned with Sensedo, was access to market, so access to not just UK clients, but also clients around the world where we have connections with. The Department for International Trade, of which GEP sits within, of course, has offices all around the world. And as you'll know from your engagement with the embassy in Seoul, we have people who are just committed to helping other Korean companies come to the UK, but also companies based in the UK come into Korea. And as once you have a UK office and you're registered as a UK company, we can also help you expand into those markets. It says here, there's a place for you. I just wanted to emphasize that. You saw this slide before, but I think a lot of these organizations are key for organizations like yours coming in from South Korea, who are looking for a helping hand, and are looking for a way in which to connect with people very quickly, and for that to be curated in a way that mentions at the top. 9 out of 10 is the key statistic you need to take away from this presentation. Why is that? And that's mainly because the 9 out of 10 stands for the statistic of 9 out of the top 10 tech unicorns in the UK were founded by at least one founder coming in from overseas. Right. So that means that for me, if I'm a Korean startup, that's telling me that I cannot just go to the UK to find that one client or find that one partner or raise that one piece of finance, but I can go there and grow the company that realizes all my ambitions, right? Like the company which reaches out globally, and all the time and investment I've spent of me and my team will be realized, so that's basically all the top unicorns in the UK, whether it's Shazam or Funding Circle. They've come to the UK to grow their business and have done so successfully and then sold it. So the question you should really be asking yourselves is, why not come to the UK? And hopefully I've covered most of the areas which would help persuade you. And that's the end of the presentation. So please get in touch. I've met you all, so you'll all have my contact details, or connect through Juliana or Tom at the embassy. Thanks very much.